Coming to you live from Waikanae Beach in New Zealand. I just looked out the window. It's raining again. And oh, hang on. Sorry, brain's gone. Brain's disconnected. What do we do? Oh, yeah, podcast. Welcome to Porchlight Letters podcast, number 2581. And it seems like I need to mute my phones. They are all going nuts today. So, okay. Where are we up to? We're at Porchlight Podcast number 2581, and today's question that we are looking at for your genealogy research is, where was your family when they left for war? Now, this could be any campaign that they went to see. It could have been World War I, World War II. Let's see, we've got the Korean War, we've got the Vietnam War, there's the Gulf War, there's a lot that's been going on. There's a lot. And there's all the stuff that's going on overseas in the Middle East, and I don't even know what war we're up to right now, or what conflicts that the US are participating in, that New Zealand's participating in. I don't know. I don't watch the news. Although I did hear that Dolly Parton passed away this morning, which made me very sad, because she's a legend. She is somebody who we will never, ever forget. And for those of you who are watching and don't know who Dolly Parton is, just go type it into YouTube and you can watch all the different songs that she's had. She's written a massive amount of songs, and albums, and she's the number one female artist on the billboards who's had the most amount of number one singles for females. She's the number one person who has had the most hits ever on the Billboard charts. She is the number one person for the amount of albums, I think it is, that she released. I don't know. I was watching something about that, and I was just sort of like mind-blowing about what she's achieved in her 80 years of life and over 6 decades in the entertainment industry. And just absolutely amazing woman who's left an incredible legacy behind her. And if I keep talking, I'm going to get very emotional about it, because I love her songs. I love her story. I love her, just how she's very humble about who she is and the stuff that she has done, not just with her singing and her music, but she's got Dollywood there. She's got all the charities that she supports. She's got the one, Imagination, is it? Imagination or something like that, where they send out all these books for free to kids, so kids have books to read. I think that's absolutely incredible. The amount of books that they've sent out over the years. But anyway, wasn't intending on talking about that, but you never know what goes through my head at any point in time, and it just comes out the mouth. There's times I have no control about what goes on in here and what comes out here. Anyway, but yes, she'll be very well up. And did you know that she wrote I Will Always Love You one night, and then after she had finished writing that song, she went and wrote Jolene. Amazing. 2 completely different songs written on the same night. Just a little trivia thrown in there. What are we up to? Oh, yeah, we're talking about, where was your family when they left for war? And we're talking about any war that has taken place at any time. Some of them you're going to have to go back through records. You're going to might have to find diaries for them, letters. There's a guy who found 100 and something letters that his grandparents had written backwards and forwards to each other, and just during the war. And he has actually published them all in a book, and his dad went and did all the painted illustrations that are inside the book. And it's a coffee table size book, so it's not just a small book, it's a big book. And there's transcriptions of the letters in there, as well as copies of the letters in there also. But they met one night, carried on this written correspondence thing, and when they finally got to meet again, they got married like the next day. It's just, there are lots of stories like this out there, which, so if you find those letters, treasure them, because they give you a glimpse into a person's past, into their relationships, things like that. So leaving for war was not just a moment in life of a person wearing the uniform. It was a moment that affected the entire family. For some, the journey began at a railway station crowded with families. If you look at photos from the late 30s, when they were heading off to war, the platforms were jam-packed with families saying goodbye. Others left from a bus station, harbour, military camp, or their own front doorstep. There may have been parents, spouses, children, brothers, sisters, and friends gathered for one final farewell, not knowing when or if they would ever see each other again. There's always that thing when people go off on deployment and stuff. Will I ever see them again? What do you know about the day that someone in your family left? Did they travel by train or to a military camp before being sent overseas? Did they board a troop ship and spent weeks at sea? Were they flown to another country? Perhaps they had never traveled far from home before, and suddenly they were heading somewhere they had previously only seen on a map. Think about what the goodbye must have been like. The person leaving may have felt an excitement, duty, pride, fear, uncertainty, or a mixture of everything. Those staying behind had their own emotions. Parents worried about their children. Spouses faced months or years apart. Children watched a parent leave without fully understanding why they were going. Once they were gone, letters often became an important connection with home. Families waited for news and treasured every envelope that arrived. Letters and it was through the mail service. A lot of the stuff went. So you might have had weeks before you got a reply back. Letters contained everyday stories about home, questions about loved ones, photographs, drawings from children, and reminders that someone far away was being thought about and missed. Those letters can be extraordinary pieces of family history. So can photographs taken before departure, postcards sent during service, diaries, military records, telegrams, newspaper articles, medals, uniforms, identification tags, travel documents, and any other keepsake that you can think of. Look carefully at anything in your family that your family saved from that time. There may be a story attached to something that has been sitting quietly in a drawer for decades and not known about. But also look beyond the person who left. What happened to the family at home? Who took over responsibilities? Did someone have to find work? Did the family move? How did children cope with the parent being away? Who wrote the letters and kept everyone connected? Their experiences are part of the war story too. And there are lots of stories out there. I have never seen combat when I was in the military. It was during peaceful times, for which I'm kind of grateful for. But at the same time, I'm sort of like, I wonder what it was like over there. And there are deployments going on all the time. People being deployed overseas, some into combat zones, some into not combat zones, more as a support role for those in the combat, being closer to those in the combat zones. But this is going on a daily basis with people being deployed overseas in the military. So what is it like? What is it like when they come? Well, we're not going to go into what comes home, because that's another series for another day. But look around. You've got the military records. If you've got access to Fold 3, and it's FOLD3.com, that has a mass amount of military records available online. And there is a subscription to it. If you are with Ancestry and you have the all world access, you get free subscription to Fold 3 and newspapers.com as well. So utilize those. I utilize them all the time. You can check with your local defense department, send them letters and stuff to see if you can get records that way. I know in the States they have a spot. Jeepers, I can't think of the name of the place now. There's a place in the States that has all the records and everything else. It was actually interesting. I was at the International Genealogical Historical Research Week that they have at the end of July, and this was a couple of years ago, and we had a guy come in who is a military history walking encyclopedia. He was pulling dates and campaigns out of his head and talking about them and talking about all the records and stuff. And what was interesting is that he was talking about the person who organized the records for the military into a way that they could find them, and they still use that system today. And when he mentioned the last name, I'm like, I have a client with that last name. I wonder if they're related. So I sent her a note and said, hey, we're just here and they're talking about this particular person who did this. Could that be a relation of your husband's? And she's like, I don't know, because he doesn't want to talk about he doesn't want to research his family. So it's like, oh, okay. But I did go and do a little side research. I put that as a little side project and found out they weren't related at all. But it was interesting to find out that they had the same last name. But yeah, and so it was very interesting to find out how they researched the the military records. But if you go to fold3.com, they have slews of medical records, and you can search by World War I, World War II, Vietnam, Korea, all the different campaigns they've had over the years. And I'm not sure how recent they have them. I'm not sure how recent they go. But I've even looked up New Zealand ones, and I've found some of my New Zealand relatives in there. It's not a lot of information. To get more information, I do have to write a letter to the Defence Department, and there's a whole way that you can contact them about that to get copies of ancestors' records, which now that I'm countryside, I'm planning to do, but I'm only allowed one free set a year. So I've got to decide. I've got to decide which one I want to start with. Whose records do I want to get first? Then I might get my parents to write one, and then get my brother to write one, and so we've all got three. We've got at least 3 lots coming in. So maybe I'll talk to them about doing that, and seeing if we can get copies of ancestors' records and stuff. I can even get copies of my own military records too. Signing, but I don't think that counts as my one free. I think that's free anyway. But who knows? So records like that, they can show you a lot of stuff that's in there. They can show you what their military service was like. And you can find all sorts of information. If they won awards and medals, that'll all be in there. If they were honorably discharged, dishonorably discharged, all of that sort of stuff is in there. What else is in there? If they have, they've got their pension payout thing is in there, especially for like World War I, World War II. They've got the pension payouts in there. Oh, it also goes into the Civil War. They had Civil War records there too. Did they have, I'm not sure if they have American Revolution ones in there, but they did have some Civil War records in there, which was interesting. But you can find a whole bunch of different stuff. Just if you just got to know where to look, that's all. Just find these things. But for New Zealand, I know you got to go through the Department of Defence to get records and have a look at records and that sort of stuff too. Yeah, so what was it like? And your homework for today, let's see, find someone in your family who left for war. When did they leave? Where were they going? How did they travel? Who went to say goodbye? Do you know what was said on that day? Look for photographs, letters, diaries, military records, newspaper reports, and keepsakes. Then ask your relatives whether any stories about the departure have been missed down through the family. Now, it could be that these people have already passed, and so maybe their children remember the day that they left for war, if they were alive at the time. They may not have any recollection, but they may have heard stories about it too, so ask about those. Military records can tell us where someone served, but sometimes the story we most need to preserve is the one about the day they picked up their bag, hugged their family goodbye, and walked away from home. Let us know some of the comments below, some of the stories that you uncover. I love seeing the stories and hearing the stories. And for those of you who private message me the stories because you don't want to put it in the comments, thank you for taking the time to share those stories with me. They are awesome stories. I love hearing them. So if you don't want to put them in the comments below, send me a private message and I'll be happy to have a conversation with you about that as well. Or you can come up here, scan this code here, book a discovery call, and we can spend a few minutes chatting about that too. So with that, I'm out of here, and I know I'm on early. I apologize. I'm getting picked. I've got an appointment at my normal time, which I totally forgot about yesterday. So go out, have a super fantastic, sparkling evening, and we'll catch you guys back here tomorrow evening